Hi, this is Greg in Pensacola, Florida. I'd like to welcome you to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to take a look at some printed examples from Printable Scenery. If you're into 3D printed terrain at all, you didn't even have to read the description of the video. When you look down, you probably saw the terrain out in front of me. You know exactly who this is. I mean, he truly is. Matt in Printable Scenery is just killing it with these Kickstarters. About 17 months ago, when I bought my printer, the Winterdale Kickstarter was out, and it was just the perfect time to get in. And every Kickstarter has gotten better and better and better. And so what I have here are some printed examples, I think from 3 of the different Kickstarters. And unlike the other companies I'm kind of profiling the terrain for, he has so much, and I have specific needs for certain pieces out of the different ranges. As I print them, I'm just going to put them together in the video and we'll show them off. If you like some of the pieces here and you're new to Printable Scenery stuff, I do have an affiliate link down below. So if you're looking to buy a piece, I would appreciate it if you click on that affiliate link, because it puts a little filament in the printer and it keeps videos coming with all this neat terrain on there. But I just wanted to talk about the last Kickstarter was Time Warp, and I was to the point with Printable Scenery's Kickstarters that we get, if you're a previous Kickstarter, you get an email from Matt that says, hey, we're going to launch, and you get basically like an early subber, where you can get an early pledge email, so saying that it's open, but it's not really publicized yet. And now it takes, once that email's sent, it's publicized everywhere in about 10 minutes all over Facebook. But I was to the point, this is the 4th Kickstarter, that as soon as I got the email, I just clicked on the link, I go to Kickstarter, and I look for the everything pledge, I pledge it, and then I go see what's in a Kickstarter. He's done that well over 4 Kickstarters that I just trust what he's going to put out. He has not delivered. Every model has been great. I don't need every model, but the value that you get on his Kickstarters, and this is the big thing for me for the 3D printer. I want to buy models. I want to buy tanks. I want to buy 40K. I want to buy War Machine. I want to buy board games, and stuff like that. It pains me what the cost of a resin house is when I can print that same house for a couple bucks on there. So to me, even if you do no commission prints and all you're doing is printing to recoup money that you would have normally spent on game table terrain, you're going to make the price of your printer back very quickly. Even my printer that's up at the a little bit higher end of the spectrum on there, around the $1,800 range on there, I have made my money back on this printer, I swear. But Time Warp Kickstarter, the bonus items alone, I would have subscribed to this Kickstarter for the bonus items alone, and that's what we have up here in this top row. So we've got some trebuchets, we've got catapults, we got a siege tower, we got realm portals, we got the sci-fi piece that I already forgot what the name of it is on here, but we got that right here. But I just wanted to talk about some of the fantasy pieces here, because if you look at this catapult right here, this is what the default file looks like. So when you print it out, requires no support. You just hit print and boom, away it goes. And that's what it looks like. So this is going to look fantastic on a table if you need a row of these. You need to crank out 5 of these. That's awesome. Then there's the battering ram. This thing is great. This is really nice, and this is the original file size right here. So if you can see over here that this catapult doesn't look like this catapult, so I'll talk about that in a second. But the detail, you got a top, you got the roof, you got 6 wheels that print, and then you've got the middle piece on there. So this right here, I mean, this is just to accent your table. You can put figures beside that and actually use that as an RPG piece. The ballista, I think that's how it's pronounced. This is a 2-piece right here. And this is another piece that if you start printing out some of the castle terrain from his previous Kickstarters and start putting this up on top, again, pennies to print this thing. I don't know what, if you went to buy 10 of these in a store, one, I don't even know where you'd find them, but two, how much that those would cost, even if they were cast resin or something like that. You know, this piece couldn't even cost 50 cents, you know, to print. So I like those prints there. Oh, Siege Tower right here. This is printed normal scale. So this, when you do this, now I don't have this one glued together, so I don't know if it's going to fall apart on me or what when I pick it up. But it's got ladders in the back. It's got the opening in the front. You can, this is completely the wrong genre for that, but you know, that's a Space Marine for scale sitting on that front, and it holds in there just fine. Let's see what this, yeah, so this has multiple pieces, and if you look at the bottom, you'll see how that, you know, you can lock them in the configurations on there. And this really is a beautiful piece on there. Again, you print some of the castle terrain from Printable Scenery, and you put these pieces on the table, they're going to look great. So what I have, I'm going to move this piece out of the way because it take too long to get it all hooked back up. But, so these pieces right here, you know, first I'm like, man, I really like that trebuchet. And I'm like, well, I'm going to try and crank up the scale. So I cranked this up to 350%. Now the trebuchet does have supports built into the model. So when you scale it up pretty big, you'll see some white spots on there where I clipped a support. I'll fill that with wood filler before I prime it and just file it down smooth on there, so you're really not even going to notice. But that is a beautiful piece. I think that's 350% of the original size. And this is going on my desk at work is where that's going. And so then I said, well, if that printed that good, let me try this, because the Catapult requires no support at all. And so I printed that out, and this thing looks absolutely incredible. I mean, this is a piece to get people talking about 3D printing. You see a lot of large format printers starting to show up, you know, on YouTube and a bunch of channels on there, you know, because printing big, and it does, you know. When you set this down in front of somebody, they're like, where did that come from? Well, I printed that on my printer. And can you even guess what this would cost retail in a store, cast in resin or cast in hard plastic, or, you know, or I don't even know if you could ever even find something like that. So that's another nice thing about the 3D printing I've talked about before, is that you can scale your models, and you know, you can scale them up and you can scale them down. So these are some scaled up examples right here. You know, so he made again, in the Time Warp Kickstarter, he did a European section. Well, there's a church and a ruined church. You know, so this right here, let me get a couple, I'm just going to take this apart a little bit. You know, so right here, he's, you know, this is a couple pieces I've glued together, you know, but this church is 28 mil in the file. I've shrunk it down to 15 millimeter because I play Flames of War and I play Team Yankee. And so I need 15 mil terrain for my tables. And this church, and I've got two more pieces to print. This is what happens when you forget to scale something down. You print the 28 mil version and you're like, crap. And so I've sat on recording this video long enough on there. I want to get this video wrapped up and getting on. But this piece will be shrunk down to 15 mil, and there'll be one on each side. But this is a beautiful church. Yes, in the 28 mil version, there's crosses that are up on here, and they just don't translate down to 15. I really don't care. I just clipped them off because they didn't print super well, you know, because it's like the size of a needle at that point. And so I really don't need it. You can tell it's a church. And but this is great. This is another thing. This is a game system that's a smaller scale than 28 mil. And so I can scale down to 15 millimeters. So what I do when I'm scaling for Flames of War is I take a building and I do 61% of the original size. So it's 28 millimeter. I go into Simplify 3D. I type 61% in the X, and it cascades that across the Y and Z, and then I print it out. So this printed great at 15 millimeter. Need tons of 15 mil terrain out there. So. And that's what happens when you don't glue the top on. So, the Realm Gates. When I see these, I think of the World of Warcraft movie. And so he's got a couple versions of this. And right here, so if you look, you've got one that has, I'm going to pull these little fire things off the top because they're just going to fall off anyways. I haven't glued them on because I want to paint those fire things separately. So if you look, you can see the flames that are inside the realm gate or the magic that's going to be on there. And if you've seen the World of Warcraft movie, I mean, this, to me, when I look at this, I think of the World of Warcraft movie when they're hitting that portal and coming over. And then this one is just a regular realm gate. But this is a fantastic piece. It prints quick. It prints easy. It's not expensive to print. And it'll look good on the table, especially if you get a couple more of these. And I'm really hoping that in this next Kickstarter and stuff like that, that we really start pushing, you know, maybe some sci-fi and some more, you know, just keep putting this type of stuff in there because everybody can use fantasy terrain. Everybody can use some sci-fi terrain, you know, in addition to the other stuff. So again, this is from the Time Warp Kickstarter. If you like any of these pieces are not that expensive either, you know, so you're looking anywhere from $5 to $20, depending on the size, complexity of the model. And I'm telling you, the $20 models, I know that the mill is a huge piece on there. At the time I recorded a previous video where I showed the mill, that was the biggest amount of filament I used on a single piece to date on there. So it was probably, I think, $14 in filament, you know, my cost filament to print that, you know. But if you go look at a comparable model on Tabletop World or something like that, those run over $100 a piece. So again, you're saving money. You get to put the money where you want it, in the figures, in the models, in the game systems, you know, stuff like that. This right here, I forgot the name, but this is a sci-fi piece. And this prints really nice. You got these, I've glued the top part on because it's not going to stay together. But I didn't glue these in because I want to paint these separately. So these 4 pieces come off. There's a couple variants in here that with like these fins, there's a little subtle design change on there, but this is really nice. So if you play Warhammer 40K, if you play Infinity, your figs are going to fit on this piece. They'll fit on top of this piece. It'll look good on the table. So I like it. You know, I don't play Eldar, I play Ultramarines, but you know, when I look at this, it's kind of Tyranidy, maybe Eldar, but I also have Tyranids that are on the sprue and stuff. But boy, I would love to have more of this themed terrain for a table because this is really, really, really nice stuff. The next piece we're going to look at right here. This is the Gothic Abbey. And just to give you an example, this is a one-piece print right here. I printed this a while ago, and it is a solid piece on the table. Sorry if that was loud. But this is a really, really nice piece. So to give you a sense of scale, here's your Ultramarine in the middle, and it just gives you a look at that. Is a nice piece. It's going to sit on a table. It's going to take up some room on the table on there, but it gives you a feature that people can get across. It can get on. It's got some blocking cover on it. So this was a really well-designed piece if you're using a game that uses true line of sight. And I'm pretty sure Matt plays 40K, so that design process or the guys that, you know, and I don't know how, you know, unlike I've been able to speak with John from Z1 and Andrew from Warlayer and stuff like that. I don't know a ton about Matt. I don't know how big his team is on there. I just know that he consistently cranks out good Kickstarters, and if you haven't seen his stuff before, do yourself a favor, hit the link in the show notes, go to the page and just peruse the stuff. Because if you came late to the 3D printing market, you might have missed the Winterdale Kickstarter or the Apocalypse Kickstarter. So this came out of Apocalypse, and this is $9.95. So you can buy this file for $9.95, probably print this for about $7 in filament, depending on your infill percentage on there, and you can print this over and over and over again for your game table. You can print it up in different color schemes if you got different factions or something like that. But this is a really great piece, and this fit right on the Maker Gear with no trouble at all. If you watched my 16-month review, it was in there. The picture of it was in there, you know, sitting on the print bed, and it had no issues on there. And so you know, in addition to that, everything that is printed here that you've seen on the table so far, it's all eSun PLA+. I normally print in brown, gray, blue. I do like this. This is not the PLA Plus. Okay, this is the eSun PLA Plus gray. This is regular eSun gray. So there's definitely a difference in the color, but the PLA Plus is much, much stronger. But you saw, when I wrapped that, this isn't going to break. And I don't print over 15% infill on any piece of terrain on there. There's just no need to. This is one of the Roman pieces. I forget which one of the Kickstarters that came out of. I think of the last one. But there's a few theme pieces that go with this. So this is nice, just blocking terrain or scatter terrain. And there's some smaller pieces that go with this too. Then we get down, we got the War Tower. This is from the original Winterdale Kickstarter right here. So this, you can go as high as you want. So it's just multiple pieces that just go together on there. So you got some different configurations. You could go 3 levels high if you want to go 3. You could keep it at 2 like I do, because it just makes it easier to reach over. If you're gaming and throwing dice, you can get your hands over it. I don't want something too high on a fantasy table. If I don't have figs that are going to go up this high, and I'm talking on a war game on there. If you're doing RPG, knock yourself out, go 6 layers high, run your campaign through it. But for me, on a if I'm playing War Machine or something like that, this is a great blocking piece. But when it starts getting this high, then you're reaching around it funny. But this print's super quick. I could put 3 of the pieces on the bed at once and do the rest of it on the next pass. So basically 2 build plates and you're done. The chapel. This is a 2-piece print. I printed this a long time ago. This is from the original Winterdale Kickstarter, and this had to be probably the 2nd or 3rd print that I printed out of that Kickstarter. And it was obviously, it's 2 pieces and it fit on my print bed. Now this is something else that Matt does too. If you don't have a large format printer, and especially 16, 18 months ago, you had your 4x4 and your 6x6 printers. I would think today it's safe to say that anybody getting into 3D printing, at a minimum, is going to have a 7 to 8 inch square bed on there. So this would fit, but he does split files up for smaller printers. So when you unzip the files that you get a like a small bed folder. And so if you have a smaller print bed, let's say like a Printerbot Play or something like that, you could still print this stuff, and put it together. You just have to glue it together more. But this is a 2-piece print on the Maker Gear, and this is a great piece. And I'll tell you right now, these points on top hurt when you put your hand on top. If you grab it wrong like that, these points don't give. They go right into your hand. But all these parts, see that? I broke it. I had to glue one on the other side. They're thin. If I hit them, they'll break. But all these print together, you don't have to put them on, and they're all over the model. This is a great model. I know the focus between when he first started was these big pieces on here, and then he's done this open lock line that he's been licensing to other designers out there that's really good, so you can do the modular and click together stuff. I like that stuff too, but man, I love these big pieces where I can just put this on the print plate, hit print, walk away, get up the next morning, boom, there it is, load up the other half, go to work, come home in the afternoon, and it's done. I don't have to mess around with a bunch of pieces putting it together. But that stuff has its place. But like for this cathedral, 2 prints, it splits in half, so you can RPG on the inside or glue it together if you don't need to. But this is a really nice piece. Again, it's on the website. You can download the files from printablescenery.com. This right here is a bridge cottage, and this was printed in black. Yeah, this was printed in the same black filament there right here. And this was the first print from Printable Scenery that I did after the Winterdale Kickstarter. So this was the very first thing that I printed. And a buddy of mine, I gave it to him and he painted it. But this is a 3-piece. No, actually, this is a 4-piece. This is when he was, we didn't have a large version of this roof at the time, so it prints in 2 pieces. You glue it together, you can see the seam under there. But look how good that looks. And I didn't spray this with filler primer or anything like that. This is just sprayed with primer, and then it's brushed and dry brushed. But my buddy Ray went and painted this for me, and just to give me an idea of what these houses look like, and I'd like him to do about 50 more of them for me. But it's a great piece. You know, it'll sit on the table, good for fantasy, you know, so stuff like that. So all these files. So the positives are everywhere. I mean, fantasy, Western, European, World War II, sci-fi, fantasy again, you know, castles. I mean, he's got so much stuff. If you go look page after page after page on those Kickstarters, it's crazy the value that you get from the Kickstarters, and the value it is if you need to buy it after the fact also. So if you've never done one of his Kickstarters before, this is just a small sampling from a couple of the Kickstarters, and you're going to see a bunch more of this stuff on here. And if you're new to the channel, go back and check out my Made on Maker Gear videos, because his stuff is scattered all through this. You know, so there's a lot of pictures. I do a thing on the mill. This house shows up before, you know, and it's just good stuff. He designs to minimize any type of support in the printing. And I mean, look at this siege tower. I mean, this is a beautiful piece on there. No one is going to, you know, anybody's going to want that's interested in that and say, oh no, I can't have that because it's 3D printed. It has a resolution line on it. Everything on this table is printed in 0.2. I don't, you know, for the videos and for my tabletop, I don't take the extra, I don't want to say take the extra time, spend the extra time at 0.1. I want to get the stuff out. And you've seen for 60 videos now, or 50 videos, or however many videos on my channel, I forget how many 3D printing ones are here now, but for a lot of videos, it's all in 0.2. I haven't printed in 0.1 in a long time. I will be printing in 0.1 soon on some stuff, because I really want to take and try to work on my finishing skills on some of this stuff. I have a 40K sword that I printed over there. It's the first one I printed trying to do a sword, and so I'm trying to learn how to do some modeling and things like that. So when that stuff comes around, yeah, we're really going to try and print the best that we can possibly print and finish it the best that we can possibly finish. Because if you want to see some finished work, go look at Chaos Cortec on YouTube. His wife is unbelievable the way she can finish a 3D printed model. Absolutely fantastic. But back to Printable Scenery. The positives are off the chart. You see the models, the price is right, his Kickstarters are right. I can't wait for the next one out there. The only thing, if I have one complaint and can make one small recommendation, is after 4 Kickstarters and coming up to the 5th, managing all the models that you own is absolutely, it's crazy on there, and it's just not Printable Scenery. It's all of them. You know, when you start doing a 3D printed terrain, your model count goes through the roof. If you looked at the terrain for print sci-fi, what I say there was 136 or 150 files alone in there. And so Matt does updates on these files. So if you download them once, that's not it. You may want to, before you actually print, go back up to the website, make sure there's not a new version of the file, and then you got to add it to cart, you put your code in, you download it. I wish, and this is a good job for some programmer out there, that you could actually cloud-base the files. So when the file was updated, you know, I bought the Bridge House. I have one entry in my account for the Bridge House, and it's the most current file all the time. Maybe that's coming. I know he did a lot of work on the new website, and it's great on there, but that is the only complaint, and it's not with just print. I just own more Printable Scenery files than any other, you know. So the difference between Thingiverse, you know, and Printable Scenery and the other guys is, you know, those are pay files. So, you know, they do get updated if they find something wrong or something doesn't slice right, or they just make a general improvement to it. You know, it's just being able to go and get the most current file, version of the file that you own, for the easiest way possible on there. And so That's the only recommendation, and that's across the board for anybody doing Kickstarters or multiple Kickstarters. You'll find, I think, the file management gets a little crazy sometimes on there. But how far? I have no idea how long I talked. But it's a great product on there. So like I said before, I have an affiliate link. So if there's anything you want that you don't already own, I'd appreciate you clicking on the link and just shop away. And a small percentage of it comes to my account. And when I hit some magic number, I get a little money and I put it into Filament down below on there. And like I said, I do appreciate you guys subscribing to the channel. We've just gone over 1,600 viewers. I'm pretty stoked. Like I said, I'm niche. I don't have different 3D printers every week to review. I review 3D terrain. I just like printing stuff. I like showing stuff. I like talking about stuff. And hopefully I'll actually start painting some of this stuff too on there. So, but if you're new, check out some older videos because they are full of terrain all the way up. And if you're a returning subscriber, I really appreciate it. Thumbs up, share the video out. Have a great weekend. And I'll be looping back to Z1 Designs. It will be the next video after this one with their basically like a part 2 of their Kickstarter that they had. So have a good night. Printable Scenery. If you don't own it, go grab some, try it out, because trust me, you're going to love it. Thanks.